What's up, guys? This is Griever here, bringing you guys the latest behind the bar reviews for One Piece, chapter 947. Now, a lot of people are having some serious issues with what has been going on in Wano. I am not one of those people. I have faith in Oda. I started to doubt Oda. Do you guys remember, when was it? Oh yeah, it wasn't even that long ago. It was about, 20, 30 chapters ago. I was starting to okay, Oda, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? We got some oversaturation, we got this, we got that. And then he just proved me wrong 100 ways from Sunday, right? So, I'm going to just take a step back, have a little faith. I'm just going to sit back and have a little bit of faith in Oda before I start judging. Because honestly, I don't have much of a problem with what has been going on. For example, let's just get this out of the way, right? Also, quick mention of the cover page. I love Brook. Brook's great, and the fact that he's there, conducting a bunch of seagulls and all that stuff from the Sunny. That's a nice request. I like that one, right? But outside of that, we're going to jump around a little bit here. I will go through this panel by panel, but right here, I just want to talk about the fact that Big Mom gets her memories back. So, for everyone that hates, and once again, I said the same thing, and it's no excuse that Oda has gone, there was Sabo before that, but we didn't really know Sabo, that the amnesia trope of known characters is a thing that everybody hates. The thing is that there are series that are half the amount of chapters, half the amount of length, even less, that do it, right? Oda has managed to go until this point, until he decided that it was a good idea, right? So, we get that, and everyone was upset about it. And myself included, I'm not a fan of the trope, and I can't, praise Oda for that, and it's not okay to do it, right? But the fact of the matter is, even though everyone has the evidence as to why, not only does she have a devil fruit, but if she was, the asphyxiation and the ocean water and stuff, and the whole hitting of the heads and all that thing, that would potentially cause, for a stasis of amnesia, right? Even with the proper explanations and stuff, people still didn't like it. And I didn't like it either. But now, not that many chapters later, we've only had to wait a few months, remember? A few, 10, 20 chapters, not even. Now Big Mom is cured of amnesia, and people are hating on this chapter as well. Why? Why? You guys didn't like the fact that Big Mom had amnesia. So Oda cleared that up very, very quickly in this chapter. Now you're unhappy that Big Mom has her memories back. I fail to see, I really do, I fail to see the issue here. It's like the One Piece community at times can become incredibly toxic. And not as bad as some of the other anime and manga communities, but I just wanted to say this before we get to a page-by-page review of the chapter, that I am not with that side of thinking. I don't understand the logic behind it. If you didn't like the amnesia, then you can't be unhappy with this chapter, because that amnesia is now gone. Big Mom's back to her normal self, as far as we can tell. So, if you wanted Big Mom back to normal, you got that. And I don't remember a whole lot of people being happy with Big Mom with amnesia. And the other side of the coin is that people were so upset that Luffy was going to use a Yonko as training and stuff. Well, look how that turned out. So, there's no reason to dislike this chapter, because everything that people have been complaining about in Wano and what happened last chapter and what Luffy's been doing and stuff has gone exactly how fans wanted it to go. Luffy didn't stop Big Mom. He got floored through a wall. Big Mom got her memories back. Queen is not dead. Everything that the fans complained about and wanted, Oda gave you this chapter. 947 is a great chapter for everyone who was complaining. But people are going to still complain. I don't understand. I don't understand it. If someone could explain it to me down in the comment section down below, I would be eternally grateful. Now let's go on by page review, because right away we get Rayleigh! We get Rayleigh. Once again, huge fan of any series, manga, TV show, comic book, doesn't matter. The old guard to me is always top dogs. They always should never be underestimated, and I always think they can always, even near the end of a series, teach the young whippersnappers a thing or two, right? So a huge fan of people like Garp, people like Rayleigh, people like Whitebeard, right? And in this case, Rayleigh, he doesn't make a true appearance. We don't get new information. It's just they are jumping back and confirming what Rayleigh did with the collar and stuff, right? And Luffy's saying that's exactly what Rayleigh did with the collar in the archipelago, right? And I'm like, just before the time skip. And I'm like, okay, cool, got that. And I'm fine with that, right? Like, just to reiterate points. It was like Reverie, how they kind of information dump for the this is a very long series, 900 plus chapters. It's for the people that might not remember or might not read this like so as in-depth as some other people who have forgotten certain information or characters. It's just to help them along, right? And right here we see it, okay, concrete. And then Luffy's like, all right, I'm ready for you, Yonko. I'm ready for you, Big Mom. Let's do this. He tries to focus. They think it might work. Everyone's on the edge of their seat, and Big Mom just, boom! Doesn't matter. Luffy and Old Man Hyo go straight through a stone wall. So once again, why are people unhappy? I have no idea. Now, the rest of this is the fact that they pull themselves out of the wall, and Luffy like pulls them out and is like, Gramps, are you okay? Did you die? He's like, I managed to protect myself somewhat with, with Rio, with my version of hockey sort of idea. And I'm a little confused here. I'm a little confused because it sounds like to me what Old Man Hyo is explaining right here is literally the third level of armament hockey. Is that what Luffy performed is not what Hyo was trying to teach him, which is the second level or a different skill tree. That's why I don't like to look at it as different tiers. It's just a different way of learning hockey, right? It's like you branch out from the warrior tree or the hockey tree in an RPG. It's not just one straight line. It's a branch system, because it seems to me that this whole collar thing is what Old Man Hyo tries to explain. It's like, Luffy, you can already coat your body in the hockey, and we kind of saw that with his hands and stuff before he got hit by Big Mom. Apparently he can already do that, and apparently the collar crushing is something that Old Man Hyo can't even teach him. That's beyond his level of hockey. He only knows this other version with the invisible armor around it to protect yourself with an invisible armor, right? Increasing your strength, blah blah blah. Sort of some similar points to classic hockey. Now, the second part, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think he's explaining another version, a step beyond that one, which is the whole, you are actually using your hockey, you're pushing that invisible armor inside of an object, inside of an enemy, and breaking it from the inside out. That's how you managed to destroy the collars. You didn't destroy them from the outside in, they would have went off. You took them from the inside out, pulled them off, and kaboom, right? Apparently, if I'm reading this correctly, that is a whole nother level of hockey that we're discussing. We thought that was part of it, but apparently that's the advance, and we know that we saw Rayleigh do it. Maybe that's why it's reiterated again at the beginning of this chapter with flashback panels, is that this is Rayleigh. If we've ever seen it before, this is high-level version of the invisible armor version of what Sentomaru and Rayleigh have performed before. This is the advanced version of that particular style of armament hockey. Does that make sense, guys? I don't know. I took it that way, that this is the step beyond that, because Old Man Hyo shows it and he explains it with like a block and stuff. Like you hit, here's your your vulcanization, but here's your coating, your invisible hockey armor and all that stuff, right? So he's explaining that to Luffy and says, Luffy, you can already do that. You already have clearly able to do that, and you just showed it. It's just that you just don't know how to access it. You don't know how to use it yet. And that makes sense. Remember, Luffy is a prodigy when it comes to hockey, especially with Rayleigh's insight and training. Luffy has always been very adept at hockey in general, specifically Conquerors, but he's very good at adapting to observation and armament as well. So it's just that he's just naturally gifted and talented in hockey, like some other characters we've seen before, right? So, and that's fine. He's the main character. I'm good with that. So here, I'm looking at it, and they're like, Gramps, don't die. And then Big Mom's like, I'm going to crush you. And Old Man Hyo's like, no, I'm not dead. Be well, Straw Hat. And he's like, keep fighting. And he jumps away, right? Now, this is where we jump across and we see not a whole lot else for the rest of chapter really, really happens, because all it ends up doing is Big Mom basically goes in a circle. Queen wakes up and tells the subordinates, because she's crushing her way through each of the gates. Remember, it was like 5 or 6 areas in Udon prison, and they were each separated by different areas, sectioned off into areas or different prison areas, gates, whatever. And Big Mom is crashing through them all. And as Queen explains, and it's a very good concept, it's like she's like a wild boar right now. She's going to keep going in a straight line. She's going to make her way back here. We should prep at this location. And it happened to work out a little bit. I mean, if she had decided to, if she had found the Oshiriko or something at, Site 3, she might not have done that, so that this was a big, kind of a gamble on Queen's part, but it did work out. Turns into a Brachiosaurus and uses Brachio Bomber by jumping off. A Brachiosaurus, head first, jumping off a cliff on top of Big Mom's head. Some people are saying the Hat Napoleon was reawakened and that's what's waking up her memories or something. But of course, what's the classic way to bop someone out of amnesia? It's used in comedy movies, it's used in serious films, it's used in all of them. You just hit them really hard on the head, and that usually takes them out of it. So in this case, it does seem to work. He jumps down, boom, fine, and then Big Mom gets her memories back, mama, and all that stuff, and she remembers her children. She goes, yes, and I went to that dirty old village stuff. We don't know the extent. We don't know if she's going to realize, not want to necessarily attack Suru or Kiku or any of them now, because she seems to have retained all her memories, not just forgotten what she just did. So will she forget that kindness? Will she forget all that stuff? It's hard to say right now, because what ends up happening is she remembers stuff. She looks over at Queen and basically goes, oh, you're Kaido's lackey, aren't you? Queen, was it? And then he's like, oh no, this Oku, she didn't even fall from that. Are you kidding me? We're all dead. We're all gonna die. Queen's expressions are great. I'm still a big fan of Queen. I think, he's hilarious, and his expressions are just on such a top tier level of comedy that I'm following that, and I'm like, yes, at least Queen recognizes he's not trying to be tough. He's like, would this thing not die? Oh shit, we're all gonna die. Everybody's gonna die. The vibe is totally different, because of course Big Mom now has her presence back, sort of idea, and she's giving off that evil, aura, I guess. And Queen's like, we're done for. This is over. And Big Mom then falls asleep. Now, apparently, this is a classic symptom of people that eventually regain their memories and stuff from actual amnesia patients. It's the fact that they haven't gotten their body is trying to shut down and restart. Sometimes getting all your memories back at once can be overwhelming for the mind. So to protect the mind, the body shuts down. It's the same thing that apparently how amnesia actually happens, is that when you witness a traumatic event or something traumatizes it, to save itself, the mind doesn't want to crack and break. So to save itself, it blocks out certain areas of the brain and shuts them down for a time period. That's basically what I guess amnesia sort of is based on a lot of the time. And in this case, that's also the way to bring it back. But Big Mom, basically, the hit didn't do it. She fell asleep. The panel shows she just fell asleep because her brain's like, oh, I got my memories back. Okay, I'm ready to... No, I'm not. Clunk. And she went to sleep. Okay. Then we get a very hilarious scene with Queen basically saying, get 100% Sea Stone handcuffs and chains, chain her up, use every ounce of what we've got, chain her up 100 times over, and if you think it's enough, do it double, just keep going. We gotta take this crazy Yonko woman and we need to take her to Kaido. We need to get her out of here, out of Udon prison. We need to take her to Onigashima where Kaido might be able to do something, So Queen's like, everyone, forget everything else. We can rebuild. There's no other issues. And I love the end of the chapter because there's one big issue Queen forgot. But they're so focused, leaves a minimal guard, thinking everything's okay. Not that really would have mattered at the end of the day for what happens. But he says, we need to take all these people. We need to get on my ship, which says Queen right on it. They're like, to Onigashima. And they're off. They're gone. Last page of the chapter. It's just great. Luffy's like, well, Big Mom's gone and the balloon guy's gone, calling him Mr. Balloon or whatever he does. Referring to Queen. He's like, so, that kind of sucks for my training, but that means, this is going to be really easy. I'm taking Udon now, And first of all, even if Queen had taken nobody else but himself and transported Big Mom personally, there's nobody there that can stop Luffy. There's no one in that prison who is on his tier level. No one else. They need a Yonko commander to come in to prevent Luffy from doing anything. Because short of an admiral, a Yonko commander, or a Yonko themselves, nobody here is touching Luffy right now. So, and Queen took a lot of his guard away. So they're just going to take over, and this is going to be really fast paced because we know the cell that should never be opened is now opened. Where it should have Kawamatsu. We know what Rise is doing. We know Kid and Killer are okay. Old Man Hyo seems to be alive. Chopper and Kiku were still left behind, remember. They're still there. And now they can go and rescue the other Yakuza bosses. Maybe some other super samurais that we haven't seen yet that we might be introduced to. Some of Odin's old guard or maybe even Odin's father's older guard. Could be. They might not be super fighters, but look at Old Man Hyo. Really old guy, still got some merits, still got some connections. Maybe he just earns the respect of other people. We could find more characters like that. There's so much potential here, and I love this chapter for this reason. Luffy's not sitting on his laurels. He's like, well, the two things that could actually stand in my way, Big Mom, which I can't beat, and even Luffy recognized that. Remember, he tried to run away in the last chapter. And Queen, which I'd like to see an actual fight without the collars and without the sea stone and that. I'd like to see an actual fight with Luffy at 100%, Queen at 100%, and them going at it. I'd like to see how that fight would go. I'm interested. I'm intrigued to see it. But that being said, I'm not 100% that Queen would win. I think that it's in Queen's favor to beat Luffy the way they are right now. But that doesn't mean that Luffy's chances are zero, unlike against Big Mom, realistically. But those two elements are gone. They're out of here. So, Luffy's not sitting down. This is a great opportunity. I'm excited for the next chapter. I'm excited for the chapter after that. Please, Oda, don't jump away from the prison. I want to know how Luffy... it would make sense for us to just cut back in 2 or 3 chapters, and Luffy's sitting on the top of the control tower at Udon, being like, okay, this is my territory now. And everyone just a big pile of fodder of gifters and pleasures and all that crap, right? And maybe even one of the Flying Six members, and he's just sitting there yeah, they were nothing. Bring in somebody else. Let me fight Jack first. Clearly, Queen's a bit of a tough cookie. Let me try my power against Jack first, and then we'll go from there. But as we all know, Jack's kind of what does he even do? So, that being said, guys, that's the end of chapter 947. What did you guys think of the chapter, and what did you think of the review? Did you like it? Did you hate it? And please, once again, tell me why. I think I brought up enough good points during this review, but also at the very beginning of the review video to explain why nobody should be mad at this chapter. This chapter is moving in the direction everybody wanted that were complaining before. So I'm missing out on the hate here, I guess. But that being said, guys, it's still One Piece, chapter 947 review. Griever here as always, behind the bar. Yada, yada, yada. Like, subscribe, comment, and drink responsibly as always. Always. And for those of you who don't know, it's Canada Day weekend, so happy Canada Day to all you Canadians and stuff. We won our first NBA championship. Go Raptors. And so happy Canada Day to all the Canadian fans. And yeah, that's it. Drink responsibly. See you next time.